if you are getting interviews but not converting them into offers, that's the first thing to think about. And if you're someone who hasn't gotten to the interview point just yet, that's another piece for you to think about. Because now you're trying to get a 200K offer, not a 70K offer. So your prep and the way you approach it, the way you position yourself cannot be the same. Welcome back to the Career Dive podcast. I am so excited to be back and recording again. We took a little bit of a hiatus over the last few weeks. I have moved into a new house, so it took some time to get things set up and ready and for my office to be ready. So I am recording from a new space today, which I am just loving and really, really enjoying our just new house overall. And we have a backyard now, which our dog is loving. So really, really happy to be in a new space. I was thinking about what our first episode back should be about. And I felt very strongly that today we have to talk about your interview prep and positioning, because it's something that I hear about every single day from you guys. And we really need to spend some time on this, because if you've been following along, you know that I talk often about positioning as a skill as part of your job searching skill set that you need to develop. Now, at the same time, when I talk to you guys, what I hear is that if, for example, you're getting interviews but not getting offers, what you think about is, oh, I need to work on my interview prep. Or when I ask those of you who are not landing interviews right now just yet, and that's the first challenge, when I ask you about your interviews and how you feel about, hey, if you were to get your dream interview tomorrow, are you ready? You guys tell me that, oh, I am. I'm really, really good at interviews. And then when I start asking you questions in both scenarios and really understanding, hey, what is going on? How do you approach your prep? Here's what I typically hear. Well, I read the job description, I go on the company's website, I look up my interviewers on LinkedIn, I do research online. I ask Claude or any other platform to analyze a job description and help me understand what questions can come up. And then I prepare stories based on that. When I ask you, how do you prepare those stories? You guys typically tell me, well, I use the STAR method. And then if you have time, maybe you practice those answers. And that all typically happens a day or two before the interviews. And is that helpful? Is that useful? Yes, it's better than not preparing. That said, may I ask you this? Did you prepare for interviews the same way 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Sure, there wasn't Claude, but big picture, you prepared for interviews the same way, right? So now you have a lot more experience. You have very different level of seniority and just responsibilities, and you're targeting roles that pay a lot more than 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Yet, generally, your prep is very similar to what it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So if you are getting interviews but not converting them into offers, that's the first thing to think about. And if you're someone who hasn't gotten to the interview point just yet, that's another piece for you to think about. Because now you're trying to get a 200K offer, not a 70K offer. So your prep and the way you approach it, the way you position yourself, cannot be the same. So most people are really focused on answering questions well. And that really is that interview skill. So how well you can communicate your answers. And once again, that works at 70K, maybe even 100K level. When you're going for a 150K plus role and a senior role, you need to instead start thinking about the perception that you need to create. You need to think about positioning. So positioning is what you help the employer believe about you. And you can answer every single question that you get amazingly. Wow, great. And you may be a perfectly qualified person to do the job, but you can still fail because you didn't show that you're the person that they need, that you're the person who is going to solve their problems. And here's the thing, this becomes so much more challenging the more senior that you become. And it's a little bit counterintuitive. And I see this with you guys and senior professionals every single day because it feels like, well, I'm more senior and experienced and qualified than ever. It should be easier than it was 5 or 10 years ago. But because you now have years of experience across different roles, teams, projects, maybe industries, what most people think about is, well, look at this. I'm so impressive. Let me show you everything that I have done. Let me show you, Mr. or Mrs. Employer, how impressive I am and all the things that I have done. Because surely that matters, right? Because I didn't only just do this one thing, but here's the breadth of my experience. So you're talking about different parts of your experience. Maybe you talk through your career chronologically. You're focused on your accomplishments. You really try to demonstrate the volume of your experience. But that's not really what the employer cares about. They don't really think, is this person impressive or not? They don't really care about that. In fact, I offer you that they don't care about the volume and the breadth and sometimes even the depth of your experience. What they care about is them. They care about whether you are someone who will help them solve the specific problem that they have, the specific problem or problems rather, that they're hiring you to solve. What's the return on investment of hiring you? Because at 200K level, and by the way, that's an annual investment, right? That whole idea of a 7-figure deal that we talk about often on this podcast, that's a recurring investment for them in you. So in order for them to make that investment, they need to see a very clear return on that investment. So most senior professionals, the perception that they unknowingly create in interviews is that I have done a lot and I'm impressive. But again, for the employers, what they need from you is this person understands our challenges and priorities and has repeatedly solved this same type of problem that we're trying to solve before. And I feel confident now that they can do it for us as well. So the more experience that you have, the more selective you need to be about the story that you tell. And by the way, this goes back to your resume as well. Most people, the more senior that they get, the more they feel like, oh, the resume should be long because now I have 15, 20 years of experience. I need to show that. But that's not really what the employer cares about. They care about the parts of your experience that will help them. So the same way your resume doesn't need to be 2 to 3 pages when you have 20 years of experience. The same way, the way you're talking about yourself, positioning yourself in interviews should really be focused on only very specific parts of your experience. And the biggest thing that I want for you to hear right now is that it's not about your career history. It all starts with the company and their situation and what they care about. So let's make it very clear what positioning is not and what positioning is. Positioning is not you communicating everything you have ever done, you trying to predict every single interview question, you preparing those generic star type of stories, you repeating the job description, you using impressive words to kind of sound impressive and qualified and senior. It's not about, a catchy personal brand statement or elevator pitch. Positioning is all about connecting. Positioning is helping the employer see that you understand the specific challenges and priorities behind this need that they have, behind the role, that you understand what they're trying to accomplish, that you know how you would help them address it, that you have successfully already done something similar, that you also have very specific proof that makes your claims that you have done this before, that makes those claims credible. More importantly, positioning connects what is happening in the company, what they need this person to accomplish, how you would help, and what you have done before I'm going to give you a simple example. And I have made this analogy before on the podcast, I believe, in the episode where we talked about how job searching is selling. But I feel like this is the right place to bring it up again. So think of any product that you like, that you have done a lot of research on, and you bought it and you love it. Or maybe you don't love it. Doesn't really matter. But think of any product that you use consistently and that you, again, have done a deep dive on. So for me, it's skincare. It's something that I love, that I spend a lot of time researching and really understanding. And it's something that I do invest in. So we'll just continue on with the skincare example. You can, as a skincare company or a brand, you can create groundbreaking best product in the world. And it can genuinely work and really be solving very specific challenges for very specific people. And it can even be better than anything else that already exists on the market. That said, if you just put it on the shelf in Sephora next to all of the other products, no one is going to buy it just because it's there, just because the ingredients are good, just because it works. No one is going to buy it if it's not put in front of the right people. The right person that has that problem that that product solves, if it's not in front of the right people, no one's going to buy it. If those people, even if they're the right people, so it's the right fit, the same way you can be the right fit for the role. But if the right people cannot tell what specific problem this product solves, if they do not understand that it's for them, that it's for their specific problem, not for everyone, because when you're selling to everyone or to different groups of people, you're selling to no one. If they cannot see how this product is actually different from other options, if they do not believe the claims that this product makes, no one's going to buy it. And yes, the quality of that product matters, right? The actual features, the ingredients, what it does it matter? Yes. But the quality in itself does not mean or create the purchase. Similarly, how your experience and how great you are and how impressive you are does not create the offer, because the customer in the skincare example or the employer in job search example needs to understand that this specific product solves my problem, the problem that I have. The customer needs to believe that this will work for them. So they need proof that it has worked for someone very similar. The same way, the employer needs to see, hey, you understand their problem and you have solved this problem before. So I have heard it recently from a number of job seekers actually saying that, hey, look at my experience. Like, it speaks for itself. I shouldn't have to network. I shouldn't have to get in front of the right people. It just should speak for itself. Just look at it. Look at my background. But it's the same idea as with this groundbreaking product. If it's not in front of the right people, if those right people don't know about it, if they don't see how it will help them, if they don't have proof that it has helped other people, if no one has sold it to them proactively, they're not going to buy. So what happens in interviews, and when you prepare for interviews the same way you did 5 and 10 years ago, and you're really just focused on, let me tell you everything about my experience, what you're doing is you're telling the employer, hey, here are all the ingredients in this product. Is the employer, is the customer excited to buy because of the ingredients? No, no one cares about the ingredients. People care about what the ingredients are going to do for them, for their problem, for their skin concern that they have. Same with employers. So the employer's thinking, okay, that's awesome that you have all of this experience, but what is it going to do for us? So your experience cannot speak for itself. That's a misconception. And you shouldn't be leaving this up to the employer to interpret what it means for them. That's another big mistake that professionals make. They think, well, that's what they're looking for, right? That's on the job description. So I should just tell them, hey, I've done this. That's it. But again, you're leaving the work for them. You're leaving for them to do the work of interpreting essentially what the ingredients mean for them. But they don't care, again, about the ingredients. What they care about is what they will do for them. So it's on you. It's your job as a brand to show the customer what the ingredients will do for them. So it's your job to show the employer what your experience will do for them explicitly, not just answer their questions, but with every example, show them this is specifically what it will do for you, Mr. and Mrs. Employer, based on your challenges and your priorities. So how do you build your positioning? If we're not talking about just answering interview questions, preparing stories, asking Claude what questions to expect, how do we actually prepare? What do we do? I'm going to give you 3 very simple questions that you need to be answering. And you need to be building this plan before you interview for any new opportunity. And that's what our clients do. First thing they do, they build an interview alignment plan. They don't think of the questions that are going to be asked. They're building a plan. So question number 1, what do they need? It's not just responsibilities in the job description. That's the 70K level. Instead, really, you need to understand, why does this role exist? Why are they hiring? What is happening in the company? What are they trying to fix, build, change, accelerate? What specific challenge or priority will this person in this role own? What result would define success? And people often ask me here, well, how do I know this? Sure, I can drive some of this from the job description, but it's often still high level and generic. And that's why I keep talking about meeting people on the inside. That's why I keep talking about networking, because networking is not just about a referral. It's not just about getting an interview. It's about going that deep. It's getting that intel and insider information so that you can position yourself much stronger than everyone else who is just reading the job description. So, because the job description tells you what the person may do, but you need to be understanding why that work matters for the business. Question number 2, what do they need to believe about you? So think about it this way. For this company to give me an offer, for them to invest in me, they need to believe that I'm someone who can, and then finish that sentence. And that can be a list of things. And this is the perception that you need to build throughout the process. And the answers to this question or the end of the sentence should influence the way you introduce yourself, the examples that you choose to share, the questions that you ask. And then finally, you need to ask yourself, what is my proof? So which parts of my experience show that I understand this challenge, that I know how to approach it, that I have done something similar before, and that I have produced a relevant result? Proof might include revenue, growth, savings, cost savings specifically, speed, efficiency, retention. All of that, by the way, speed, efficiency, retention ties back to cost savings and or revenue, team performance, organizational change, which again ties back to revenue and cost savings. Because remember, that's what they care about, revenue and cost savings. So as you're thinking through these 3 questions, what do they need? What do they need to believe about me? What is my proof? When you're talking about your proof, you always bring it back to number 1. What do they need? You need to be explicitly showing them that this is how this is going to help you. You need to be saying that sentence. This is what I have done, and this is how this will help you. So when it comes to your interview preparation, stop asking, okay, what questions they might ask me, but rather start asking, what do they need to believe about me by the end of this conversation? Instead of preparing those star stories that, again, worked for you at 70K level 10 years ago, ask which examples prove that I can address their most important priorities. Because a strong interview is not just a collection of good answers. You're building a case throughout this conversation. Being qualified is not enough. Being experienced is not enough. Even being really good, excellent, fantastic, phenomenal at what you do is not enough if the employer does not understand how your experience specifically applies to their problem that they need solved, how it helps them. Positioning is what shows them, I understand what you need. I know how to help. I have done something similar before. Here's proof. And here's why it matters to you. Here's why it translates to this environment. What does this company need to believe about me by the end of this conversation? All right, that is it for today's episode. And if you have been listening and thinking, okay, I really need to up my game. I am still someone who is approaching interviews the same way I did 5-10 years ago. And I'm not converting my interviews into offers right now, or I haven't even gotten an interview. And now that I'm thinking through this, I definitely need to elevate the way I approach them. You're in the right place. Book a call with my team. It's free. We'll look at your job search. We'll identify where you're getting stuck and why, and we'll walk you through exactly how we can help you get there faster. So if you are a senior professional and you're going for 150K plus roles, you're in the right place. We'll leave the link in the show notes to book a call, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.